So basically, Buddhism feels that the universe is really an intelligent place, and so some people say, well, you can describe that as God, and that's fair enough. But we don't have that. We don't have a patriarchal figure who is an object, who is separate from us. We really intrinsically believe that the universe is all one operating system. Right? And that we are a part of that operating system, and the reason we don't understand that is because of our biology and the circumstances we've gone through our lives and our former lives. So the way they say, it's kind of like there's veils in front of us, right?
Sure.
So the practice of meditation is to remove the veils so you can essentially see the truth. And so our meditation practices really are about trying to view the world in an unbiased and unbigoted way.
Okay.
And the object is to become non-dualistic, so that we essentially are totally connected with the universe. Right. So in a real nutshell, that's so all the practices work towards that.
In relationship to a non-dualistic universe, this is where a lot of people get very confused. So I like to point out two things. Buddha was not a god.
Okay.
Buddha was simply a human being who said, I've discovered some tools to help us understand the universe and to help us relate to each other in a more constructive way. Here's a toolbox.
Okay.
and if you want to reach a state where you are able to see everything on the purest level, these practices will get you there. It's up to you whether you use them or not. So he was really just a fellow human being who said, hey, I think I stumbled across something, or in his case, worked really hard to find it. But essentially,
you refer to it as enlightenment, right?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the terms that's used. Yeah.
And enlightenment on a very practical level, as human beings, really just means that we intuitively act for the benefit of others in every given situation.
Okay.
And through the meditation, that intuitive part comes in, so that I no longer think I'm doing something nice for you, and now you should thank me, and then I kind of wait to see if you're going to do something nice for me.
Right.
But that it completely flows. That I see that I need to help over here. There's no conscious thought, oh, I'll be a better person if I go and help you, but just intuitively you do whatever is required in any given situation, and to have the balance between the compassion and the wisdom to act in the appropriate way in that situation. You know, we can have too much compassion and think we're being helpful, but we're actually in the long run making the situation worse. We can have too much wisdom and think, well, things should flow this way, but don't have the compassion. So that's something we try to balance, to then sort of intuitively move through the world and be of benefit.
The practices that we use, and I've been a practicing Buddhist for, well, more than 25 years now. The practices we use in this one are called the past method. We use meditation, and we use some fundamentally mind tricks.
Right.
They're really just mind tricks. We put our mind into the habits of thinking certain ways, right? That's why we do endless hours of meditation, is to trick our minds, and we realize that that's what we're doing, to think a certain way. For example, one of the things we do is we have a visualization in our meditation where the Buddha comes into us, right? And we sit quietly as the Buddha, with the Buddha inside us. So then you start making this habit of, well, how would the Buddha think? You know, so you start to relate to that with him as a very intimate teacher, obviously, with and even your conceptions are, you know, which are only your conceptions. So there's a whole bunch of mind tricks, and really the meditation practices are about training mind.
Okay.
And the idea is really, again, a misconception quite a few people have. The idea is really not to get rid of thoughts. You cannot get rid of thoughts as long as you're alive. The idea is not to attach to the thoughts.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, so if you're meditating and you're thinking, I really need to buy eggs, you go, okay, thought, you move on. So,
you don't follow each thought as it goes along, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You become more and more focused.
Some people even meditate with a notepad, you know, so if I'm now obsessing that if I meditate much longer, I'm going to forget to go out and buy eggs, well, then I write eggs on a piece of paper and I go on. So there's lots of different ways you can work with that. And where it's really mind tricks is, this is where the idioms come in, and a lot of the iconography. Actually, historically, the iconography comes from the old Bon religion in Tibet before Buddhism came to Tibet. So because Buddhism, it's essentially the teachings, not the culture, it'll really lend itself to any culture. So the teachers that first brought Buddhism into Tibet were very smart and said, well, let's work with their images, right? Because their images are familiar to them.
So the yidams, or what people would call deities here, are not that at all. They're merely aspects of your own mind. Okay. So the Buddhist teachers realized that, hey, we can take this aspect that these guys call deities and say, look, this isn't in fact something that's external from you. This is merely one aspect of your mind that you can work on in order to train your mind, right?
So if you have
well,
a particular...
Well, for example, this one here, the Mahakala, was a deity, right? And for the old Bon religion prior to the introduction of Buddhism in there.
Oh, okay.
So when you go to the center, then you will do a meditation which is called the 16th Karmapa meditation.
Okay.
And the meditation starts off with just talking about where we are in this world and why we've come to Buddhism. So there's 4 thoughts that we do there, and then we do a visualization of the Karmapa.
What's that?
The Karmapa is the spiritual leader of this particular branch.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's like the Dalai Lama.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then we have a period where we are quiet and we quiet our minds, and then we have a period where we say we would like to give any benefits we receive back to the universe, right? So there's kind of a cycle and a mantra, which is part of that, yeah, the meditation process.
Retreats, which you do every few months with the
retreats, yeah.
Do you do that here, or do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had a couple here, yeah. We're looking at. It depends. If it gets bigger, then we look at an alternate location. We did a Medicine Buddha retreat in Naramata.
Okay.
At the center in Naramata there one year.
And then there's 3 or 4 of us that are very committed to this,
yeah.
And so we take turns sharing. Like sometimes they're generally 2 or 3 day retreats. So
yeah.
we'll do some at John's place and then down at our place, and you know, so yeah. And we have 20 people sometimes, 25 people. So yeah, it's
for the retreats.
Yeah, for the retreats. Yeah.
And you, I imagine, drawing other people that are just interested in the meditation aspect.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. No, it's open. It's open.
Yeah.
I mean, what we do say is, look, these are old practices. I mean, they date a long way back. We don't. If people want to do new agey stuff like that, that's cool, but that's not what we are, right?
Okay. Yeah.
These are very old traditional practices, and if I could invent a faster way to enlightenment, I'll write a book.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, these are the best ways that I know. So I think with our stuff, what we really try to say is, this is not a religion. This is a philosophy. It's a way of working with your mind, your body. The core belief is that the universe is an intelligent structure, and you are a part of it. And that's really hard to deny, in whichever way you come from. And, obviously we're part of the universe, but we go a little bit further and say that it actually is an intelligent, evolving thing.